All right. Thanks for joining us today for the Strong Suit with Jakob Schweiger. Jacob, all right, what are you excited about this week? What are you working on that's got you fired up? What are you excited about in this show, for instance?
The one thing that got me fired up is I'm still hashing out how I can create a online coach for Clifton Strength.
Okay.
Um, I'm kind of in my own way. Perfection is the issue, and I just need to get it started. So that's that. And today I'm just excited because it's the first time we're going to talk about domains and themes in a domain. And
Okay.
yeah, just kind of talk about identifying patterns and seeing how we can support people better.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm excited too, because this is going to be sort of a little more educational in nature, but also we really want you guys who are watching us right now, throw some thoughts in here. We're going to have questions along the way. So if you already know your strengths, go ahead and pull those out because we're going to be asking some questions. Specifically today, we are talking about the executing domain, which sounds kind of violent, if I may say so. The executing domain. Ugh. I'm seeing the
You got
guy
to
with
say it
like the
yourself.
giant axe.
Yeah, let's at least not think about it in medieval terms. That would be an issue. But no, it's all about just getting things done.
That's awesome. Yeah. What are you excited about? All right. So I'm putting this in the comments. What are you excited about this week? What's got you fired up? Drop it here in the comments. All right. So we are talking about the executing domain. So let's just jump right into this, Jacob. First of all, tell us what this means. It's a domain, and explain sort of how this functions within the greater framework.
Right? I'm not a fan of PowerPoint, but I'm still going to share my screen with just 2 slides. I promise that's it. Um, Everybody should be seeing the screen now.
Yes.
So
Looking good.
basically, the domain is the color that you see in the Clifton strength. A domain is basically a bucket of similar themes, similar talents in here. And there's a total of 4. So you see 4 different colors, and this here is actually my personal DNA. You have purple for executing, you have blue for relationship building, you have orange for influencing, and you have green for strategic thinking. Um, the executing domain consists of 9 so-called themes, and you see those here on the left and on the right. Today, we'll focus on the driven executing themes in here, while the next time we do a domain focus, we'll talk about the situational executors in here. So today is all about drive, getting things done, commitment, focusing in, and making sure we get things done.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. So those of you who are watching us, as you're coming in, today we're talking executing domains. If you already know that you've got one of these 4 strengths in your top Clifton Strengths profile, be ready to jump in here and give us some opinions, right? Because we want you guys to tell us how you experience this stuff and also how other people can interact with you. But Jacob, let's go. Let's just start with achiever. Tell us how we could spot an achiever in the wild.
So, one thing before I get started here, this is very important for you guys to know. This right now, we're looking at themes in an isolated way. So when we talk about needs and when we also talk about the things, hey, don't do that with that person, they vary on every single individual based on the other themes that they have as well. But if today we look at a pure achiever, an achiever is somebody who has that internal natural drive to make each day useful. They cannot just sit around. How do we spot them? They probably in the morning show up highly driven, energized. I want to get stuff done. I have a full to-do list, and they get excited when they check certain things off. They hate downtime. So even if they don't have something to do right now as a work task, they probably will go around and organize something. They need to be busy. That helps them. And that busyness is also their source of energy. That's kind of how you spot them. So always the drive to get something else done, and it's an internal drive. That's very important to notice.
Okay. That's really cool. So I threw that in the comments. How to spot an achiever in the wild. So Why don't we, if you are watching us right now and this sounds like you know somebody that's an achiever, maybe you got achiever in there, just chime in, tell us maybe how you recognize that, right? Like, how did you see that or how did you figure that out in this list? And then, Jacob, you're going to jump in, tell us what an achiever needs to thrive. I'm assuming we're talking about in business, but maybe just in life. Clarify that for us.
In general, it doesn't matter because no matter if we're at the job or if we're at home, those talents are always with us. We don't just turn them on or turn them off necessarily. And so what an achiever needs is they need things to complete. So they will probably have a to-do list at home, they have a to-do list at work, and what they really thrive is completing things. And one of the big things that helps them complete more, because that's ultimately where we want to get to, is external recognition. They do it, number one, for themselves, but they also do it for the people around them. So a pat on the back for an achiever, that fuels them for a couple of days. Even more than you give them a bonus, but that recognition that hey, I really saw you put a lot of work in this and you accomplished this, that recognition, that volume, the stamina that they are showing, if you compliment them on that, that will really fuel them. And once you get complimented, you want to do more of it because you see the positive reaction that this gets you from the world.
Yeah, I love it. That makes a lot of sense. Does it matter how they get their recognition, or does that get into other details of their personality and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so some people like to be recognized in public, some people like to be recognized in private, some like money, some don't. So it really, that actually warrants a great conversation with every single person that you are around with or that you work with is just a question, hey, how do you like to be recognized in there? Because the more I know how to recognize the person, the more I can specifically look for opportunities where I can do that to kind of reinforce that positive behavior that we want with this. And this is not just a business advantage, it's also a development advantage for that person to grow and become stronger at what they're doing.
One of the things I like about this, Jacob, is that it's easy sometimes when we get into these tests and evaluations and assessments to think that everything is just like a copy paste. Oh, that makes it really simple to know what to do. Instead, what we're recommending here is you identify that somebody has one of these strengths. This is where the conversation can go. It's, hey, I really feel like maybe recognition is important to you. I would love to know what the best way to do that is, or the best value to you, not just the way that I give it necessarily. So that's really good. Hey, we got a comment in here. Thanks, Michael, for throwing that in. He says, "This is my number one strength. I really enjoy being able to complete tasks quickly." Oh, that's cool. Hey, while you're there, Michael, so and anybody else who is watching this, thinking about some of this, what is something that you think drives you crazy as an achiever? So maybe try to focus there, and then Jacob's going to kind of pull that back up, pull the curtain back on that in just a second. Let's stay with the what they need to thrive for just a moment, though, Jacob. So, um, apart from recognition, is there another component, like a piece of that that we would want to make sure we create for an achiever at all, like to create a better environment for them?
Yeah, and so there's one thing I need to add on to here before. So when we look at those talents, this is the area of biggest potential. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily already thriving in every single
Mm.
area. But the more we get them explicitly in those areas and we give them a chance to execute, the more they will grow. But to your questions, what else can you give them? I think direction is very important and show them that their work ultimately matters to be completed, not a just, hey, here is this big strategic objective that we want to accomplish. An achiever will probably struggle with them. Help them break down the work so that there is really completable and finishable, and all the other words I'm about to make up, tasks that they can check off.
I'm chuckling, Jacob, because yeah. So um I don't have any of these 4 things in my top 5, and I know I typically frustrate achievers because the task list gets longer while they're trying to go through it and or just switches altogether if I'm not being really careful about
Mhm.
how I communicate that. which that may take us to what drives them crazy. Take us in there. What drives an achiever crazy?
Yeah. Uh, a day where they have nothing to show for it, not something that's accomplished, or things that are not helping to make that incremental steps. In meetings, think about it. If you don't have a clear meeting outcome, it's just we talk to talk and have a good time. This will frustrate the living hell out of an achiever.
Yeah.
Or just relax. It's don't worry about it. It's fine. And kind of the ambiguity that comes with it. Give them clear directions, set them on a path, give them the tasks, and they're good to go.
Michael just replied. So he just said, two things that drive me crazy are unclear goals or objectives and people who reply too slowly.
Yep. That makes sense. And I relate. Achiever is my number two, so that's why you get my emails, Lance.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys should know. So Jacob and I are trying to coordinate or collaborate on this, the strong suit uh, live stream. And Jacob will send me an email, and I have to do my absolute best to focus on that email, reply to that email sometime within a timely amount of time. Otherwise, I just think, yeah, that's a good idea. I should do something about that sometime. And
Yep.
that's something I am personally trying to work on. Not a great strength of mine.
Lance, to interrupt you there, basically our interaction, I know you're very much in the green in the strategic thinking area, and you and I basically have that agreement that if I send you more emails and reminders, it's actually helpful to you and it doesn't bother you. So being able with other people to make those agreements, how you can best collaborate, that's the
Mm.
ultimate goal.
Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, just kind of making it instead of like it being a weird joke that's like hidden, just talk about it and go, yeah, I'm bad at that. Yes, I don't mind you sending me 15 emails. That's probably helpful. That kind of keeps it basically is about communication at that point, right? Nice. All right. Let's move on to focus.
So focus is a theme that's all about direction and prioritization. So we want to make sure that we exactly have a clear goal and we can hone in to that goal. And now, how do you ultimately tell people like kind of being around or how focus actually shows up in the wild? So you'll probably see people asking, "Hey, what's the goal? Why are we doing this?" So they need to understand the big picture around him. Um, they like to kind of filter out distractions, and they can only do that if they have a clear goal. And then they get that productive tunnel vision that once you set them a goal out there, they will walk in that direction and they will eliminate as many distractions as they can. And
Hmm.
yeah, the you will probably not see those kind of wandering off, "Oh, I'll have something to do." They're the busy bees. Give them a goal, put them on it, and they will just pursue that as much as they can.
Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I don't I don't think I have anybody in my life like this that's that zoomed in. Um, but maybe I do. I'll have to look through my stats again. All right. So what drives a person who excels with focus crazy?
Uh, Shifting priorities. And if you, for example, have somebody close to him that's very strategic minded, so somebody that has plan A, B, and C figured out and can very quickly shift, somebody with focus, they will struggle with that because they need to be able to plan and then focus on that area and execute in that area. And if you change tomorrow, the next day, change drives them crazy. The same as with achievers, aimless meetings. If we don't have a clear goal, if we just sit down to chit the chat, it's useless. The same as just let's see, because they need to, similar to an achiever, accomplish something in there. It's executing. If they cannot execute and you cannot execute without a clear direction, that's a struggle. Or if you give them too many directions without a prioritization in there.
That's really interesting. Okay, so um, when I hear this particular talent, this particular strength, I literally know like my core essence must drive this person crazy. So how would so mine's just for everybody watching, my strengths are strategic, ideation, positivity, um, activator, developer. Somebody with my group of strengths there, how are we best what do I need to keep in mind when I'm dealing with somebody whose strength is focus?
Um, Start talking about priorities in here. Somebody with ideations, you have a
Mm,
ton of ideas, but
yeah,
you need to have a way to filter and communicate the right ideas to that person that feed their priorities. If you come up with all the other ideas that you spit out every single day, they will struggle. So just tell them what they need to know to ultimately reach their goal faster. Keep the noise away as much as possible.
do people with the focus strength, do they have the ability to help identify priority?
Yes, they can if it's a mature talent, and s- if it's not a mature talent, they will probably not be able to ask for that priority. What they do is whatever they have to do, they put on tunnel vision and they go for it. To be able to just ask that question, hey, are you clear on your priorities? Do you know what is the one thing you have to accomplish by the end of this week? To give them that
Mm,
guidance, that's where you can help from that, let's say, also strategic mindset.
I got it. Okay, that's really cool. Very helpful. All right, let's talk discipline.
Yeah. So think of discipline as the process puzzle in here. It's all about setting up workflows, systems, routines, and making things repeatable in here. So they love to create structure, they love to create timelines in here. Um, Ambiguity also for them is an issue because they spend a lot of time to create a process in here. And then if we shift priorities, if we say, let's circumvent this process, it's fine. We can just roll with it right now. They struggle with that because they take pride in developing a system and a process that's repeatable, and they've put a lot of thought and effort in it. So if you just circumvent that for whatever reason, they will be struggling with it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Um, I, I want to ask a similar question like I did with focus. Does a person with discipline I know this there these none of these stand alone. There's
Mhm.
always this interesting mix of talents. Um, could they help a person who doesn't have discipline implement that?
Yes, absolutely, because they thrive on it. So what you probably see a person with discipline is they are organized, they have a tidy workspace, their calendar is well maintained, and it drives them nuts if they shoot a calendar invite to somebody who doesn't maintain their calendar and that it gets declined. So they can also help other people recognize that there is a room for improvement, and so, yeah, they can absolutely help the team to stay organized, individuals to stay organized and create that process.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. For those of you guys who are watching us, you're joining us at the moment. We've already covered some of the executing domain, achiever, and focus. If you have achiever or focus, I don't mind us going back and kind of flipping back into some previous things. So don't let the linear nature of this call change that. So if you've got um, achiever, focus, discipline, or responsibility in your strengths somewhere, go ahead and throw in the chat what you find helps you thrive and what's something that drives you crazy. All right. So that will help us do some interesting things, kind of have some conversation around what you personally experience, because you're kind of an expert on it as well. If it's a part of your strengths, you already look at life through through this tunnel, if you will. All right. What drives a disciplined person crazy?
Ultimately, it's ambiguity, it's a lack of a plan because disciplined people, they love predictability because a good process is you put the same input in, you get the same output every single time. And they struggle if the same input creates different outcomes in here. So when there is a lack of a plan in here, then they absolutely struggle. And their big strong suit ultimately is creating that process. And they need that to be successful. So if you put that over the top and say, hey, I struggle to work with you because you're so rigid, you always want a process. That's an issue for them because with the process they thrive. And to put them just on the big green field and say, "Go figure it out," that can be a struggle, especially if it's not a developed, strength.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. This is like listening to, this is like describing an alien race to me because I'm like, "Oh, yeah, these all sound very interesting and cool and powerful." I don't have any personal relationship to these things.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's
I love
amazing.
how you and I were talking about filling out forms. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Tell everybody what we were talking about, like, fill them in.
Yeah, so for somebody who's not high in discipline and for Lance that's a little bit farther on the lower end of the spectrum, filling out forms, doing repetitive work is the worst thing because it's boring. While other people, they just love the predictability of filling out forms because I know exactly what's expected of me. I know what goes in A, in B, and in C, and I'm a happy camper with that. I'll probably gonna speed that up. While Lance is, God, that form, can somebody else do that for me?
Yeah, exactly. Or what if I just tell you all the things that I think and then you fill in the form?
Yeah, and that's perfectly fair. That's where, again, to my point earlier, where the partnerships come in. For every task that you hate doing, I'll bet you money there is somebody out there who loves completing this task. And the challenge is how to find that person. And that's
Mm,
where the entire topic around Clifton Strength can be helpful.
yeah, that's really good. All right. We're headed to number 4. I actually do know a person with this strength in my life. So, um, I think maybe a couple actually. So, talk to us about first of all, how do we identify these are people that have responsibility as a talent slash strength?
So people high in responsibility, they have that inner commitment, that personal accountability when they get a task assigned or when they take on a job, they will fulfill it. And if it means to pull an all-nighter, doesn't matter, but they cannot let other people down ultimately. So they will typically offer to take ownership. They will ask for the freedom and to own something and then being able to execute basically to their liking within a framework. But to give them the free reins, that's the best thing they can see. They will, if they're not able to meet a commitment, they will feel deep guilt, also if it's just a tiny, small little task. It doesn't matter. A commitment is a commitment is a commitment to them. No matter how big or small it is, they take it personally if they can't get to it.
Mm, okay. So that's how we identify a person with responsibility as a talent. What do they need to thrive?
Uh, Clear ownership and then having the freedom to execute on that. The worst thing for them is if somebody overrules them, even though they've been given technically that ownership in here, and they need the trust to get things done. Let them run with it. They will deliver because they have that inner drive. They cannot get out of it. And the one thing I want to mention around that is sometimes they can tend to micromanage as well. So if you have somebody who's constantly checking in on what you're doing, it might be that it's part of whatever they are responsible to do, and you have a small little part, but they need to make sure that everything gets done so that for them, the big responsibility ultimately gets followed through on.
That's really good. This was an interesting one for me because I think I misread what it was as a part of the talents. I think probably because you and I didn't go over it, and because it's not in my top 5, but, um, I think I assumed it was almost more like an ethical dilemma constantly of, like, I've said I'm gonna do something, therefore I'm going to do it. Um, but, am I reading that wrong? Am I thinking of that wrong?
No, I mean, ultimately, it is about commitments. And people with responsibility, they like to give commitments. And that can be in a uncontrolled way where they give every single commitment that's possible out there. Or they, when it's a mature talent, they're able to sort through, prioritize the commitments, and then 100% deliver on them.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. All right, so that's what responsibility needs to thrive. What drives responsibility crazy?
People that don't commit or that don't follow through on commitment. If you set a deadline and then other people are just like, it's not that important. So they kind of feel for that, and it drags them down in a team environment if the expectations are not equal for everyone. They really start struggle with that. Um, if you have, let's say, ambiguity of ownership in there, if you don't have clear accountability set for your roles, if you don't have the responsibilities clearly defined, they absolutely struggle with that. If somebody comes around the corner and says, hey, I thought you were responsible for it, nobody's ever talked to them. That's a huge, huge issue. So for them, creating a clear framework and then giving them the freedom within it, that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, so I'm asking for those who are watching, you guys jump in here if you've got some questions about any of these four executing domains. Normally, I would be a lot more like have personal experience, but these are sort of outside the scope of where I spend time or at least spend energy. So I would love to hear what your questions are around this. Um, Talk to me about why this is the engine room, why this is the like out of the other domains. Explain how this separates itself from or interacts with the other domains.
So the engine room is basically here. It's all about getting things done, hitting the road, and making sure that you have the progress every single day in here. It's all about getting things done. While some of the other themes in here, let's say green strategic thinking, is about creating a plan. But you need somebody who can execute the plan if you're just, air quotes, a highly strategic thinking person out there. So that's where that comes together. But then if you don't have the team around it, the blue, the relationship building, then you have a bunch of disengaged people who are probably just in it for themselves, and you don't have that team environment. And then the influencing theme is basically making yourself and the rest of the company or the rest of the team heard as well. So it's very outward. It's making sure that things get done. It's an influencing theme ultimately out there. So this one is all about there's a task, let's nail it, and let's make sure we execute on what our mission is.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful to hear kind of how these things cut across. So, remind everybody what your strengths are and which of these are executing strengths. And I'd love to hear how do you how do these things, the thriving and driving you crazy, how have those manifested in your, let's
Mhm.
say, your professional career? Um,
Right?
Places and ways that you thrived, places and ways that you maybe struggled a
Mhm.
little bit.
So, what you guys see here on top is basically my personal DNA.
Oh,
My number one is relator. Number two is achiever, responsibility, maximizer, communication. I'll just keep it to those five
okay.
for right now. Relator is all about building deep relationships. So, I'm the absolute worst person to send on a networking event and give me a task to come home with 100 business cards. I will probably meet three people, but I will get to know those three people. The one that I really want to hone in is achiever and responsibility. Achiever and responsibility together is sometimes also called the burnout combination, because achievers, they need to get stuff done, and responsibility means living up to every commitment that you give. And
Mm.
they also say if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. So you always get into that busy mode, and the responsibility along not being able to let other people down. That ultimately, I had burnout. And I was young, I was fresh out of college. I just got a team assigned, and I was working my butt off, and I got burnout. I had to take off. I got shingles. I got the whole shebang. And
Wow.
if I would have known what this means, I would have been able to better understand or even have a manager recognize that as well and actually help me. Because sometimes it's hard to understand what's happening inside of the hamster wheel.
Interesting. Okay, Michael's got a question here about this, and it sounds like it may be what you dealt with. He says, "Is there a way to, quote, turn off achiever? Sometimes it is not super helpful outside of work." So in this case, it's like just getting things like checking off the boxes, always being busy. What are you thinking?
Yeah. So, that's ultimately when it comes that's the difference between it being a talent and it being a strength. So when
Mm,
it's developed into a strength, you have the ability to turn it off and turn it on. Is there a possibility? Yes, absolutely. But you have to make your way gradually to that point. So if you're on the weekend or something, you still need to accomplish something. You cannot just sit in a lawn chair the entire day and do absolutely nothing. But maybe set yourself a limit of only accomplishing one, two, three, four, however many tasks you feel are reasonable in here. And you will see you still get that sense of accomplishment, but you will also not drive your relatives crazy when they're coming over to visit and you, I have to do this, I have to do this, and I have to do this.
mm. I've got a person in my life that has their in the top 5, they've got discipline and achiever. They're currently in a situation where they have a lot on their plate.
Mhm.
How can I help them?
Uh, Give them clear priorities. So when their task list is 50 items long, help them understand what the priorities are and make sure that they're able to also follow those priorities in there and give them the permission to also say no. Or you have to sometimes help them and say no for them to kind of be their filter and to give them a way to build a process to execute in here to kind of get into a repeatable groove of getting things done. But yeah, for
Okay.
achievers, every task is often just weighted the same. Help them with prioritization and tell them it's okay to just let certain things fall off as well. Focus on what
That
matters.
that's really interesting, Jacob. What they're facing right now is, this isn't somebody I actually have control over the work situation, but, what they're facing is there have been a lot of they have a very wide domain of things they're responsible for. So that makes sense why it would be a challenge to know for them, where do I put my effort at this moment, which is most important.
Yeah, and that's where they can really use the help. And I think for them to also recognize you cannot do everything at the same time. I mean, there's only so many places you can be at once. So it's okay. And as a founder entrepreneur, you know that as well. But also in business, you cannot get everything done, and you need to have a conversation around the things what must be done and what can we delay, what can we delegate, and is it really as high of a priority task as every other task?
Yeah, that's really good. All right, we got to wrap this up. We're headed into we're in overtime or in World Cup extra time. One of the things we want to do, first of all, a lot of people are watching us right now. That's fantastic. Really appreciate you guys joining us. We're about to wrap up, but there's one thing that we want to do for next week. So next week, this same time slot, what we want to do is take one person, have you join us on the video call. Maybe do we want to have them join here, Jacob? Or are we just
Oh,
going
for
to take their
sure.
strengths?
No, 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 no. Come on in. Come on in.
All right. So I just recognize that may limit the people who want to participate in this, but we would love to have you on the call. And we're going to actually look at your 5 strengths, your top 5 Clifton strengths. Jacob's going to do a debrief on your 5 strengths, which, by the way, you guys should know, this stuff typically gets you charge money for this to help people work through this. It's a valuable thing. Jacob's agreed to just do this as a part of the fun, the general, you know, progress of what we're trying to do here. So if you are interested in being that guest, how should they participate, Jacob?
So you can either already have your top 5 results and then you just bring them to the show. We talk through them kind of in your personal context, in your business context, in your role context, whatever you ultimately feel comfortable sharing with the world. Or if you're just interested and new to this, then I'm happy to sponsor the top 5 assessment. I will send it off to you. Just let me know,
Oh,
and then we'll have you on the show as well. And it's first come,
man.
first
Okay.
served in case we have multiple people interested. So just want to throw this out.
You
Don't be
want them
disappointed.
to, how do you want them to contact you? You want to go LinkedIn or do you want them to contact you at your website?
Everything. I have
Anything,
high
anything and everything.
responsibility. I have high responsibility. I check everything.
All right. So I'm going to say contact Jakob here. That's your website. Or here on LinkedIn if you'd like to be our top 5 strengths guest next week. There we go. Put that in there. We're good to go. All right. This has been really great, Jakob. I appreciate you spending time. I know you've prepared for this uh, because of responsibility, I guess. Maybe. And it was
Yeah.
excellent. I appreciate you taking time to educate us about this. It's interesting. I'm going to look through my family strengths analyzer over here when I get off this call, see how I can be better, especially for the creating an environment where they can thrive. And been super great. Any final words from you, Jakob, to our audience?
So, no, I mean, obviously, I'm grateful that this is working. And the last thing to kind of tie it together, if you think about those 4 themes of today, think of achiever as the fuel to get stuff done. Focus is your kind of aim, your direction, while discipline is the path that helps you get there. And responsibility is your commitment to make sure that everything that you say ultimately gets done. Hence the engine room.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Hope you have a really awesome week. We'll see you back here next week, 1 p.m. Eastern time for The Strong Suit. See you guys.
Have a good one.